Hello everyone, and welcome. Lucy and I are out for an overnight adventure. We're hoping you'll join us. So let's get our packs on and get down the trail. So Lucy and I have made it to the spot we're going to be spending the night. It's a spot that we've camped in very often. The few first years that Ann and I camped together, we spent a lot of time in this spot. We built these chairs. That one has gotten loose and a little bit rickety, but this one is still holding solid. That one, all it needs is to be tightened up. But we're here now. We're going to set up. We're going to have a very enjoyable evening. So here's the plan for tonight. This is a stand that I built last year, and I used it to hang my hammock from just one tree. It's the only tree I had here that I could, in a spot that I could hang the hammock. So I built the tripod and I tied a log on it, hung my hammock here. This time I brought the mesh inner from my Onetigris ironwall tent. I'm going to clean off this log. I'm going to hang the mesh inner, and then I'm going to put a tarp over top. And that's where we're going to spend the night tonight. Okay, it's not perfectly stripped, but I do not feel any sharp points that are going to poke holes in the tarp. So I think we're ready to start setting up. Now the top of that mesh inner just has a hook on top, and it's got a hook up onto a ring on the inside of the tent. I'm not using the tent. So I have a piece of paracord with a loop in it. And I'll show you how I'm going to set this up. So now I'm going to take my paracord, put it over the log, feed it through the loop, tighten it up. So now it's hanging there. Now I'm going to cross it over, twist it to create two loops, fold the loops around the back, and put the bite, and I drop it and start over. Okay, so we bring it over to create one loop, twist that loop to create two loops, fold it over, and then we take the farthest end of that big loop and bring it back and come through that first loop and tighten it up. And now I have a nice loop that I can use to hang the inner. Now before I go too far, I've got a Dollarama tarp. It's just a 4x6 tarp. I'm going to lay that on the ground. While removing any sticks that I see, just to protect the bottom of that mesh inner. With any luck, this will stop any sticks or sharp rocks from poking holes into the tent. We can bring out this mesh inner. Lay it down with the door at the front. And it's on just a short piece of lanyard so that I can adjust it. So hopefully that loop is down low enough. And it looks like it is. Perfect. Now I gotta get my stakes. Driving stakes anywhere that I camp is never easy. There's always lots of rocks. I'm going to take a piece of paracord with a loop in it. And there's just a small tie out here that you're supposed to clip on the inside of the tent when you're using the tent. And wrap the paracord around the tripod. And over here by the door, there's a loop so that you can hold the mesh open. I'm just going to feed the paracord through that loop. And just tie it off with a half hitch. So here's another toggle at the back, which again you're supposed to tie into the tent, which we aren't using. So I'm just going to take the loop off of this and slide it over the top, and that should hold enough. I'm going to go tie it to a tree further back. As you can see, it's tied up. Doesn't have to be super tight. It's just to give a little bit of extra room because Lucy's bed is going to be down here. Money? Let's give this a test run. There you go. Good girl. Oh, yeah, this is going to be comfortable. Oh. This end seems lower than that end. I may need to switch this pad around, but that's easy to do. Now we have to make the hard decisions. Oh. Do I put a tarp over that? Or do I try and go without the tarp tonight? I think I might turn on that Zoleo and get a weather report. If they're not calling for rain, I don't really think I need the tarp. So I've checked the weather forecast, and they're not calling for any rain. The low tonight, however, is 8 degrees Celsius. So it may be just a little chilly. With the blankets I have, Lucy and I are going to be fine. A few weeks back, I was supposed to camp here with my nephew. Things happened, plans changed, we couldn't come out. But I had come here the week before that and cut up some firewood. I didn't split it, I had just cut it. So I took a walk back there. Everything was exactly how I left it. So I carried all the firewood to the little clearing behind me. And I didn't bring my big axe, I just brought my hatchet. So we're going to go and see how hard it's going to be to split that down. So if we plan on eating dinner tonight, I better get the fire lit so that I can get some coals to cook on later. Because I spend so much time out here, I decided to buy myself a little slingshot. Give me something to do to kill the time once in a while. So I've taken a small piece of birch bark. I've hung it in a tree just over there so that I can stay close to the fire and keep an eye on what's going on. When I bought the slingshot, I bought 1/4 inch and 3/8 steel shot to use with it. So I want to go fire a couple of shots with both just to see which works better. So here's my piece of birch bark. It's not much bigger than my hand, but there's a little black dot here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but that's what I'm aiming for. I know I'm not going to hit the little black dot. I'm just kind of aiming for the center. I'm going to fire 3 rounds of the larger steel shot and then 3 rounds with the small one. Let's see what happens. Now I'm only shooting from about 6 yards or so. They say to start close. Once you start hitting consistently, back up, see if you can still hit it. So I'm not super far. So I've been taking a look at this one chair that I said wasn't quite as sturdy as the other, and I think I found the problem. The cross member is too high up, so the chair leans way too far back. If I was to bring it up like so, and tighten that further down, it'd go right back to being fantastic. So I've made new marks for how far down this has to come down. Now what I want to do, on the back side here, lower than what it is now, I want to cut just a small mark, just enough so that when I wrap the paracord around, I can put it in there, and that should stop it from sliding back up again once I tighten it up. So all I did was I lowered these, I cut the notches, and when I wrapped, I made sure I went through the notches, and then all I did was go under, over, under, and then I tied a clove hitch with a stopper knot on the back, and now it's not moving. And I think that has solved our problem. Problem solved. If I really wanted to, I could cut a branch that fits in here, and that would stop it from coming back up. So I've cut a piece of dead standing that'll fit in the back of that chair to stop that thing from rising, and I've marked it on both sides. Now I just have to cut a little bit deeper. Now I want to baton down just a small flat section up to where my mark is. Now I just place this piece in here. Let's get rid of these. Then I'm just going to grab a piece of paracord. Now this is not really supporting anything. the wedge back here is going to hold it in place. So all they really need is this Canadian jam knot, and that's going to hold that in place without a problem. It's just to stop it from coming out. We've set up camp, fired a few rounds with the slingshot, split some firewood. Now I've done some chair repair. While I'm moving around and getting work done around camp, this is what Lucy does. Lays down and relaxes. Gets up, moves 10 feet, finds a new spot, lays down and relaxes. She's got the right idea. I think one potato is going to be enough. Potatoes are in the pot. They're almost cooked. So now it's time to pop on my steak. I pre-seasoned it at home with a little bit of olive oil, some Montreal steak spice, and a little bit of garlic powder. And then I froze it so that it would survive the trip out here without me worrying too much about it. And of course I'm cooking dinner, and Lucy found a nice new place to rest very close by. Potatoes are cooked. The steak still has a little while to go. I've been keeping an eye on it, but it was still partially frozen. So it's cooking slowly. I'm just going to put a little bit of butter on these potatoes. I guess I can start eating these. That way I'll make room on the plate for the steak when it's ready. Mm. Mm. Perfect. I had planned to, I've got the steamer that sits on top of that pot. And I went to the store yesterday, I bought my steak, a couple of potatoes, and some asparagus. I was going to steam the asparagus over the potatoes. Hopefully Anne finds the asparagus in the fridge and eats it. Forgot to grab it. Grabbed everything else. Forgot that. Oh well. I always have to forget something. At least it was just the asparagus. Now the steak is done. I'm going to eat a bit more potatoes and let that steak rest a little bit. Ah, who am I kidding? Just a touch overcooked. Should have checked it a little sooner. Give Lucy some fresh water. I only give her a little bit at a time because she tends to spill it or throw junk in it. I'm also going to give her a little bit of her kibble, making sure to drop in a few of her marrowbone treats that she likes. And because I didn't think to keep one portion of that steak so that there was no spices on it, so I could give it to her, I'm going to give her a little bit of potatoes. Brought along an apple. I'm going to try and peel this thing the best I can. I think that should be enough. The mini tarts are making a comeback. Very thin sliver of butter in each. Oh yeah, this is way too many apples. These tarts are tiny. Well, looks like I'm going to be snacking on apple pieces. Now this is just a little bit of cinnamon. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit. Okay, a lot of it because I like lots of cinnamon. On each one. And in here, I just put a little bit of brown sugar. Which of course doesn't want to come out of the shaker. What I want to try and do, I'm going to see if I can take one of these out of here. Flatten it out. Cut a little air gap in it and try and cover up this tart as best I can, leaving a few little gaps for the steam to escape. Now, a while back, I bought these. They're covers for a smoker, and they fit beautifully inside my pot. So now we're gonna slide these in here. Oh, without dropping them. Okay, I think I'm going to slide the tray in and then slide the pies in. Now we'll put our lid back on and we'll go set this on the coals. And now we wait a little while and check on them later. If you get too chilly, you just cuddle up to me. I'll have nice warm blankets too. Okay? Yes. Yes. I love you too. I won't lick you though, because I don't want to have a tongue full of fur. Who's ready to have a look at these tarts? It's been about 20 minutes or so. Well, it's steaming. Oh, look at those. Wow. Nice and golden brown, hot. I think I'm going to let those cool a little bit. Put some water in there and try and clean it out. Let's give one of these pies a taste. How hot is that? Oh, that's a little hot, but look at that. Mm-hmm. Oh, that definitely worked. Mm. The pastry is well cooked. The apples are nice and soft. Lots of cinnamon. Mm. Well worth the hassle of having to clean that pot now. Now, how can you go wrong with a nice campfire and a view of the river? It's going to be a beautiful night. Morning, everyone. What a night. Lit the fire this morning because it's a little bit cool. But those blankets kept me nice and warm all night long. I woke up once to use the bathroom, and once I took those blankets off, I realized how chilly it was. I hurried up to get back into those blankets. Lucy was fine. I kept covering her up with her blanket, and she kept kicking it off. So, oh, but it was a great night. In here, we're under quite a bit of cover, so I got to see some stars. But there's a small little clearing right above where I put the tent. So every time I woke up, I could just open my eyes, look up, and look at the stars. It was beautiful. Oh. Once again, it's not going to be a long day. I'm having my coffee. I'm letting this fire burn down. And I'm going to start packing up and heading out of here. Things to do, things to do. But I'm glad we got a chance to come out and relax a little bit. It's always a good time when you're out in the woods. I played a little more with that slingshot last night. After I drank that beer, I used the can for target. Fired a couple of those 1/4-inch bearings at it, and they dented the can. Then I decided to fire a couple of those, I think they're 3/8. They poked holes in the can. I think those bigger ones carry a little bit more punch. I think that's going to be a fun little toy to play with. I think Anne's going to get a kick out of it. So it was just an overnighter, but it was a busy one. We got our bedding set up and situated. We split out some firewood. We played with that slingshot. We fixed that chair. And we had steak, and we even made apple pie. What a day. Now that I've got the Zolio, when I come out for an overnighter, before I go to bed, I'll always text Anne, good night. She texts me back, good night. Last night I texted her, good night. And by the way, I may or may not have just had apple pie. She sent back, laugh out loud, good night. Oh, she knew I was going to do it eventually. She saw that I had bought those plates, and I've got 2 of those. And the last time I was out, I threw them in the fire and burnt off any residue or any cleaning supplies that they had on it, just to be sure to be safe. So, knowing that, she knew I was going to do something at some point. I was hoping for the trifecta. I was planning on boiling the potatoes in the pot, steaming my asparagus on top, and then baking pies. And then I went and forgot the asparagus at home. Oh well. Guess we're having asparagus for supper tonight. I'm not going to complain. Anne's favorite broom. Well, we've been busy. I started emptying out the tent and getting everything up on the table here so that I can get ready to organize the pack and pack it away when I'm done. All that's left to do is to take the tent down and fold it up. The tripod and the pole going across, I had put that up temporary last year. Never got back to be able to use it. I was planning on coming back to use it again, but we started camping in other places and we never got around to it. I noticed last night that it's starting to rot a little bit. It's getting weak. It was strong enough to hold up the tent. I wasn't worried about it, but I don't want to leave it up. I know it's weak. I won't use it to hold any weight, but I don't want somebody else to show up and think it's sturdy and hurt themselves on it. I'm going to take it down. That was the original plan anyway. It was never supposed to stay up. So I'm going to take that down. And if ever I decide to put a hammock there again, I can just build another one. It's not that hard. A tripod and 1 log. Done. We want to thank you all for coming. Always a pleasure having you along. And if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. There will be a drop-down menu. In that menu, select all. That way it'll let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.